Chamber Faithful. I'm Jeremy Field, the Director of Government Affairs at the Boise Metro Chamber of Commerce. Our Chamber of Commerce is the only 5-star accredited member of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which gives us a distinction when we advocate and educate on your behalf. We're really grateful to bring you this program to keep you up to date on the bills that we're following to help entrepreneurs with policy in the state of Idaho. House Bill 436 was signed by the governor on February 4th last week. A huge thing for the state, both for entrepreneurs and for economic development. This bill lowers the corporate income tax rate from 6.5% to 6%, as well as our personal income taxes from 6.5% to 6% on the top income bracket end. Just 3 years ago, our corporate income tax was over 8%. Now it's at 6%. It makes us more competitive when we're competing for businesses, like with Salt Lake, for example, one of our top markets we compete with. Makes us more attractive. We've lowered our rates. Everything that Idaho has to offer, now we can also talk about a lowered corporate income tax rate when we're trying to bring those businesses to our state. We're very grateful for the foresight of our legislators and the governor to bring this action forward, something that the Chamber has advocated for many years. We count this as a giant win, and we are looking forward to seeing the results of keeping more of our money in our pockets this year, as it is retroactive to January 1st of this year. Next, let's talk about House Bill 443. Great bill. It allows a fund to be created that will be funded by the legislature so that we can bring our educators into the state health insurance pool. Currently, only state employees enjoy that benefit. Educators now have the option, districts, to join the state health insurance, which is a great insurance program to keep our teachers healthy, but also save them a bunch of money and keep more of their pay in their pockets. This is all about retention and recruitment. We want to take care of our teachers. They're the most important part of what helps our kids be successful, and we want to take care of them. So we're thrilled about this legislation. It passed with bipartisan support, and Governor Little, education is his top priority, so he couldn't be more thrilled with this bill passing either. But as always, the Chamber very excited when we do the right thing for our educators, so we support this bill. And now this law. Moving on to House Bill 444. It still sits in the Senate Judiciary Committee where it was last week. If you believe that you contracted COVID-19 in a person's place of business, this prevents you from suing the place of business. You can get it anywhere, but the legislature saw this as an important issue to make sure that entrepreneurs could breathe a sigh of relief that as they did business, they wouldn't have to deal with litigation about COVID-19. It sunsets July 1st this year. We anticipate this bill becoming a law, just like it has in the last 2 years, and we'll extend that sunset to July 1st of 2023. Next, let's talk about House Bill 450. It was voted out of the Senate Commerce and Human Resource Committee with a due pass recommendation on February 9th. The Chamber expects the Senate to move this to the governor's desk very soon. The Chamber supports this legislation to save small businesses unemployment insurance costs over the next 2 years. House Bill 464 is an interesting bill. It was essentially what it does is if your employer requires you to get a COVID-19 vaccination, then if you are one of the statistically de minimis people that have received an injury from that vaccination, you can be compensated through workers' compensation. So we approve this. It avoids litigation, and because you are so unlikely to be injured by a COVID-19 vaccination, it also won't affect our workers' compensation rates for our employers. So win-win all around. We'll see on February 8th, it was reported back to the House Commerce and Human Resources Committee. We'll see what happens there, but we're following the bill very closely. House Bill 472 is an update to federal or state code. Brought by the State Tax Commission, the legislation is an annual update to conform to the federal code. The Chamber supports this housekeeping bill to help businesses in their tax preparation. This bill was sent to the Senate Local Government and Taxation Committee and received a due pass recommendation on February 9th. It now advances to the Senate floor for a vote. Next, we have House Bill 510. This legislation was brought by Representative Doug Okonowitz and was reported to the House Committee on Revenue and Taxation on February 2nd. The bill will have no fiscal impact to the state general fund, local unit of government, or state tax revenue, as it changes how a taxpayer paying state income tax for the purposes of federal income deduction. The Chamber supported the legislation last year and will continue to support this correction as it brings further entities into it. I believe it was trusts and estates can also apply for this exemption after you paid your state taxes. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with this one. But yeah, we're monitoring this one as well. Senate Bill 1247. This passed the Senate with bipartisan support on February 7th and has been referred to the House Education Committee. The bill amends Idaho Code to allow cooperative service agencies to receive appropriations. Without the authority, schools like CASA would have to be taken over by one school district, which would weaken the collaboration between districts, something that districts don't want. The Chamber supports this amendment to allow districts the flexibility to deliver education at the ground level and give the legislature the legal framework to continue to fund them. Senate Bill 1249 corrects an error in House Bill 389 so that expiring urban renewals can collect local property taxes at an 80% rate and not be subject to the yearly 8% cap on the growth of their budgets. We talked about this bill last week. It passed the Senate in bipartisan fashion on February 4th, and it now resides in House Revenue and Taxation, and we anticipate seeing this bill move forward. We didn't like 389 last year. It was the rush property tax law, but this improves a bill that we didn't support, so we support that. Anything that makes a more progress on this property tax issue. So stay tuned, and we'll keep you updated on that one. Senate Bill 1253 was brought by the Idaho Workforce Development Council. They want to expand apprenticeships to state agencies. By amending Section 72-1202 of Idaho Code, the state can participate in apprenticeships and possibly qualify for state funding. There's a $2.5 million fund that the state would be allowed to participate in if the legislature moves forward with this bill. The Chamber supports it to help state attract workforce, and it is currently sitting in the Senate Education Committee. Senate Bill 1254 was brought by Senator Hartog, Lakey, and Representative Brent Crane sponsors it on the House side. Senate Transportation Committee reported S 1254 to the House with a due pass recommendation on February 9th. The bill will remove the requirement for vehicle emissions testing in the Treasure Valley starting July 1st, 2023. Back in 1984, we triggered testing because of our carbon monoxide violations. Newer cars have brought down those levels, even though the area has grown. DEQ expects the EPA to agree to this based on the science. The Chamber supports this bill, so all around just good news for us here in the Treasure Valley. We have less carbon monoxide in our air than we did in 1984, so that's something to definitely be happy about. Talked with Director Jess Byrne about Senate Bill 1264 yesterday. He walked me through this legislation that I needed a little bit of help with. The bill currently sits in the Senate Resources and Environment Committee. So let me tell you what he was telling me. And if there's any errors in this, it's all on me, it's not on Jess. But DEQ has a voluntary cleanup program, and it was created in 1996 by the Idaho Land Remediation Act to encourage innovation and cooperation between state, local communities, and private parties to revitalize properties with hazardous substances or petroleum contamination. So maybe you have a laundromat or a gas station in your area, you want to clean it up because it's blighted, and you know, economic development, you want a nice area, you want to bring new business in that space, you just don't want it to sit idle. The program has resulted in successful cleanup of many contaminated sites. However, under current state law, eligibility to participate is limited. The proposed statutory changes expand who is eligible to participate in the VCP, the Voluntary Cleanup Program, to include responsible parties and broaden the definition of eligible sites beyond industrial and commercial to include residential. So if one of these laundromats, gas stations somehow has been zoned into a residential area, people that want to use it for that purpose and clean it up through a simpler program with the EQ under the VCP would be able to do that if we change this designation. There's only about 2 projects a year that take advantage of the VCP program, and DEQ hopes to bring the residential zoning areas in and increase that number. The bill is heavily promoted by realtors and the chamber and chambers for urban development, and so the Boise Chamber supports this bill as well. It makes it a little bit easier for people to participate and clean up and make an area that was once used for a purpose that can leave a space contaminated, make it a little simpler to clean that up. So we definitely support this bill and love anything economic development. So thank you again this week for joining us for the Advocacy in Action program. We count it a privilege to work for entrepreneurs in our valley. We do what we do because of your membership. We couldn't be more grateful for that. We hope that you understand that we count it a privilege to serve you and to serve business interests in the Boise Metro Valley area. So with that, we'll see you next week.